Hello, it's nice to see you again here at my atelier. Today we are going to talk about browns. So mixing colors is or can be very tricky, very hard, but I've got a very simple way for you to understand how to mix color and how in a landscape to find all the colors that you need to find. And for that we are going to study the browns, or some painter call them grays, because that's how we talk about those colors. We gray them down, so grays, but they are brown. And for that we are going to do a basic color wheel, and I'll explain to you how and why browns are so important and how we can use them over and over in all your landscape. So let's get started, and you will understand that very quickly, I'm sure, and I hope it will be a valuable tool for you in your future paintings. So we will start with the color wheel. Let's put a yellow. So my colors here are lemon yellow, azo red, or azo red, I don't know, AZO is this color, which I'm gonna put here. Let's take a bit more. And a little bit more of the yellow too. There we go. This is a cobalt blue, but not only cobalt, it's a cobalt blue ultramarine. This is a paint that I've been given. It's quite green. It's got a green tint. But any red, yellow, blue will do for this exercise. It doesn't matter which ones. You could even use transparent colors like ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and a lake yellow if you wanted to. It doesn't matter, because this is about making browns and understand what a plein-air painter uses color-wise. So you could paint a whole landscape only with these three colors, plus white of course. So let's just mix up our secondary colors. So if I take a bit of that yellow, we put it here, and a bit of that red, let's get tissue, and a bit of that red, we get orange. Yeah? Do we agree? We get orange. So let's take this orange, take this orange and put it there, between the red and the yellow. Then mix those two together. So blue and red, it looks pretty much like a brown, a dark color. And let's put it in between those two. But I'm going to demonstrate straight away, if you add a bit of white here, you get a purple, which is a bit more on the red side here. So let's get it a touch maybe on the blue side. So let's take this back. I want it a bit more to the blue side. just a touch. So I will add a little bit more blue into that. There we go. So now we have a purple, but it's more, see, to the blue side, see? Okay, that's what I want. So now I've got this purple. Let's mix the last color, which will be blue. Why did I take it from here? I don't know. And yellow. And here we get a nice bright green. Let's take a bit more from here. Make this a little bit like this. Okay, there we have our green. I will have a little bit more of that green. Okay. So now if we mix in between, we get tertiary colors. So red, orange, orange, yellow. Let's do this. Orange, bit of yellow, bit of the orange there. That lemon yellow is a bit transparent. Okay, here we go. And then we do the same here with the green and that yellow, which I'm going to add a bit to it. I'm just going to come here. So now we have yellow, green. Do the same with this. Blue, green, and go. And here we get purple and blue. Let's add a bit more blue to that as well. Purple, blue. Okay, purple blue and a purple red. There we go, purple red. And to finish with, add a little bit more of that red here. We got a red orange. Do a little bit more orange. Okay, put it back there. And let's get that again up there. Here we go, red orange. So now I've got that. If I mix any opposite together, I will get what we call as painters a grey, but it is a brown. So when you're in the landscape, you do not want to have a green like this. This is far too green. It is not fitting in any landscape. So what you want is to have a green, but you want to mix the opposite color in it. So you want to get a little bit of that red just a touch. And now we have a green who fits better in a landscape, for instance in the shadows. So bear with me, yeah? So you see that green? Let's put it, I think we're near enough for you to have a good shot of it, but let's put a little bit more onto it and add a little bit of that red and make this green, and so you clearly can see that this green now fits much better in the landscape. If I be to carry on to add some red to it, I will obtain a brown, so a grey, a neutral colour. These two opposites, if you mix them roughly equally together, you will obtain a grey, or what we call a brown, that you also can use in the shadows. So this could be a dark foliage, and this could be then the shadow of the dark foliage in winter time. If I add a touch white onto that, you will see we will have a grey. See? Do you see that? I don't want to add too much because I want to show you something else, but we have here a grey. Alright, so now if to that shadow, let's do a bit more shadow. Let's take again, do a little bit more of that. And then add it just here with a touch more. If now to that shadow I add a little bit of blue, I will have, or mauve, we could go to the opposite here again, cross it this way, we would have a shadow would fit in the summertime. Okay? So let me just get rid of that. I should have do a bigger space to show you, but I haven't, so let's just get rid of this and do the same with these two opposites. So if I have a yellow and I want to calm this yellow down, I should have washed my brush, and I want to calm this yellow down, I'm going to go to the opposite color and add a little purple into it. Now I have a yellow who fits much better in the landscape as well. The other is correct too. If I take a little bit of purple, put a touch of yellow in it, we'll have what appears to be a brown, would be a nice shadow too. See, if I put some white in, we obtain a grey. So this, let's do that again, put it here, more yellow, oops, the opposite I meant, less yellow, more of that. Here I would have a very, very nice combination for a shadow of a tree, so like end of summer, autumn, and so the foliage, the darker foliage here, and then we put lighter foliage after that on top, for instance. I need to wash my brush. Okay. So as you can see, if I mix both together equally, I will have again a grey, or which should be a brown, I should say. So I obtain a grey. Are you all following? Are we all clear so far? Let's do that again. with for instance blue and orange. So I take blue, put it here, and I add a touch of orange to it. And now once more I can have a dark my blue, I mean, is not as blue, it still stays in the blue. I did put too much orange in. Here we go, it's not as blue, and would fit much better in the landscape. If I carry on, so let's put the blue here, take it over there. If I carry on, I put more orange into it, a bit more blue. We once more obtain a brown. Or I should say a grey. It's a cooler grey, but we still obtain a grey. So you could make cool greys out of the blue mixture and purple mixture. Also, no, that's quite warm, so blue mixture. And a warmer one out of the reds and the greens. Okay, so but why is it interesting to know this and to work with those greys instead of all these colors? Why? Now let me show you. Let's leave that here actually. Let's take the knife again. Let's say I'm finished painting and I'm going to scrap together. I don't want you to get confused, so I will get rid of this. That will do. Okay, so let's say I've got these colors left. I'm going to destroy that. You've got it for life now anyway. Let's take these colors, put them here. All that left on my palette. So I mix it together. And what do I get? Funnily enough, I get a grey. See? Which in reality is a brown. But we as painters, we call it a grey. Alright, so now I've got that grey, collected all that from my easel, from my palette. What do? I get some cling film, which I have here. I cut a piece out and I put this in and do a wrapper. I wrap it up like a sweetie. Okay, I don't need to show you that, you all know how to do this, and I can keep it for months and months. So one thing, we don't lose any paint. That is one thing. The second thing now will be to reuse that paint. How would I go about to reuse that paint? Don't think me crazy. So, for that we are going to talk very briefly and roughly about a landscape painting. I've got the sketch of one of my students who did exercise itself on some trees. So we're going to use that quickly and roughly. So if we do a landscape, often 99% of the time the sky will always be the value, the clearer value, the lighter value. Then the floor, as it's opposite to the sky, would catch the light and would be second value. So a little darker than the sky, but not too dark. And the trees would be the third value, very dark. And then this, we make sure that this is not getting as light, the light of the trees not getting as light as the floor in the light, of course, not in the shadows. Okay, so now we've got that idea, just bear with me. So we just established that we need three values. Three values. One for the sky, one for the middle ground, one for the ground. So let's do the sky first. I won't need loads because that is very dark. Let's get a value scale. And let's say that one's quite dirty, but it doesn't really matter. I'm sure you will see what I mean with all that. So let's say we want a 7 as a value scale for the sky. So what do? I have obviously to add white in this. So I'm adding my white. Here are my colors, the colors I paint with, the colors I used here. So all that is harmonious. So I use this. Okay, let's check it here. I want number 7, I said. Put it on there. Squint your eyes, and to me that's a touch too light. So we just add a little bit more, a little bit more of that mixture. Here we go. Do the same. Put it on here. Squint. And here I'm perfect. So now I've got the value of my sky. But have I got the color? No. I don't want a brown sky. I could have some brown in the sky. That's okay. That's fine. It's very nice actually. Very warm and very nice. But I do want a blue sky. So if I add blue into it, it will darken it more. So I will lose my value again. So straight away I will add a bit more white. Straight away I add more white to this. And to that white now I will add a bit of blue. Enough to have my blue sky. Check the value again. Squint. I'm a touch too dark. Add a bit more white. Touch of blue again. So that's a blue green. It worked better with a cobalt blue or a pure cobalt blue. So here now I've got the blue of my sky. Lighter, squint my eye, perfect. Okay, here I've got the blue of my sky. See? So now I've got the value of my sky. I could paint it all in that same value and then try to lighten it to the horizon. You know, we lighten our skies at the horizon. So we lighten this a little bit as we go along. Here we maybe add a touch of yellow because we want a little bit of that green that is so nice in the sky. Anyway, we've got a nice sky here. Okay, so now sky is done. We need what's on the floor to have some trees sitting on, etc. So I need a value who's maybe one step or 2 steps. 2 step, yeah, could be 2 steps. 1.5 step, doesn't matter. Darker. So I take this and I mix it here next to that. take enough. There we go. So now this is much darker than this. I think we all agree. So I'm far too dark, so what do I have to do to start with? To get the value, I'll have to lighten it. So again, go to my white, add some white to this. So we check the value first. We say 6.5. I'll go in between. Squint my eyes. I'm here, I'm at a 6. I could be a bit darker, 4. If I wanted to go to the 5, I'm at a 6. So I'm gonna stay like that. It's fine. I've got a difference in value, and for the floor, I decide that that is good enough. So now I've got ochres on the floor, greens. So how do I do that now? So for my ochres, I'm going to add some yellow. Let's do the ochres here. And a little bit of blue, even a touch of red. So yellow, blue equally, that will keep the same value. Okay, but I want ochres, so I need a touch of red. Okay, and more white, and look what appears here. We get an ochre. Okay, at the right value. Let's put that here and squint our eyes. It's still darker than that. Not much. I need to darken it a touch, so I'm gonna get in with a bit more reds and blues to darken that, and that's where I'm gonna stand with my ochre field. Alright, so now we want some greens. So what do? I take this, add a bit more blue into it, and more yellow. And look what appears here. We start to have nice greens appearing. Little darker in value, so I need a bit more blue, bit more yellow, and so now I've got different greens and different blues at that same value. Okay, isn't that neat? Isn't that superb? And it will be very harmonious for the whole painting. So now last we are going to do the trees. So the trees with that is, I think, dark enough. We shouldn't go darker than 3 in the shadows. We shouldn't. There's not that we don't, but we shouldn't. And here I am. That is dark enough. So if I put this here in a minute, that will do the job. So what do I do here? I'll add some blue, because we want again a green, don't we? So I'll add a bit of blue, and I'll add some yellow. So I darkened it, I lightened it straight away. Darkened it, lightened it. Now we start to have a green. Nice dark green. I'll add a little bit of red to that. It's always nicer. A bit more blue. I'll try not to have to squeeze out more paint. But here we have now a shadow for a tree who'd look fantastic. In here, if I put it there, squint my eye, I'm perfect. That's the perfect shadow that I can put into my landscape, and it's going to stand out from the floor. So now onto that, I want to do some lighter foliage, so I'm adding some yellow here on the side. I need to stay darker than this bit, and here darker I am. If I squint, I am darker than that, so I'm fine. So this would be my highlights of my tree. Here we go. See, so that's the basis of what I wanted to teach you today. How to use your browns. Whatever you scrape together, you can reuse to craft your new landscape. So never again your paints will be thrown away. You will be able to keep them and to rework with those paints over and over. If I put this together, all that, we are just going to do one value, which is a value of the ground, maybe that's light enough. So onto that, what do I do? Because I want a green again, I add some blue. I haven't got any left. Let's get this blue out. So as I say, this is a cobalt blue ultramarine. Never buy it. It is not a nice color to paint with. Okay, so blue, oops, blue. Now I'm far too dark, so what do? I add some yellow, and look at that, nice green. See, nice green. If I need to go lighter in my greens, I add more yellow. I've got a bit more lighter greens. Add a touch of white in that yellow. I've got some nice highlights into my greens. So see, I have used this color again and revived it to a nice green. Alright, so that's all we are going to do today. Let that be a valuable lesson, because as I said, you never will waste any more color again. So this is closing our tutorial. I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I'm sure from now on you will never waste any more paint, never ever, and you will be able to reuse all your paint and make some lovely, beautiful landscapes. I wish you a happy painting, and I'll see you soon for another video.